Coming up, 9 more layouts from Model Rail Scotland 2020 to enthrall and inspire you. Ranging in size from N gauge to G gauge, there is something for everyone. I'm Andrew Gebbie. You're watching the Heritage and Model Rail channel. This is one of a 6-part series that was recorded at Model Rail Scotland in Glasgow in 2020. Make sure you don't miss any other parts by becoming a subscriber. Also, select the bell icon to be notified when a new video is released. Here you can view the N-gauge layout Scarlington, exhibited by Scarborough and District Railway Modellers. Scarlington is a continuous loop layout giving a generic feeling of the North in the late 1970s and early 1980s. It is a follow-on from the highly successful layout North of England Line 1, Scarworth Junction, also in N-gauge. The layout measures 5.5 metres by 600mm in the scenic area, with a further 300mm for the fiddle yard. Buildings are a mixture of scratch-built and kits. Bridges are laser-cut MDF. The cliff lift, modelled on the one at Scarborough, uses 2 jam jar lids as pulleys to avoid tangling the string that lifts the cable car. Track is Pico Code 55 with large radius points. Control is analog DC throughout, with stock from Graham Farish and Dapol. The road signs were made by Sankey Scenics from drawings provided by the club. My thanks to Jeff for providing the information. This HO gauge layout is Irrgarten, exhibited by Clydeside Model Railway Club. I spoke with Duncan at the show, who gave me some details about the layout.
Well, generally it's a rabbit warren type layout. There's a load of tunnels, and it's a challenge for the viewer to see where the next train's going to come out of. A wee bit of trickery, give them a bit of interest in it. You see the kids sometimes pick it up quicker than dads and mums. Oh, the train's coming out of there. And then we can change it slightly so you get somebody that's very confident, oh, that train will be coming out that tunnel, and all of a sudden it doesn't, it comes out of another tunnel. We've chosen bits of Switzerland. We have the Victoria Rock, for example, or the Balscheiser Bridge, or the Reichenbahn bridges. These are all shown on the layout, but obviously it's not together. We've just gone for the highlights.
How big is it?
It's 4 baseboards by 4 feet, so 18, roughly about 18 feet by about 6 feet wide.
It's a continuous loop.
It's a dog bone. That's
the secret to all the hidden tunnels.
That's correct. We divide it into 3 sections plus a common section. So there's we have a red, for simplicity, called the red section, the green section, and the blue section. The blue section is a loop, and the driver will take the train from the station down to the bottom loop. He'll change it over and bring another train up. Okay. Then that train from the station will leave and it'll either go around the green loop, which is a shorter loop, and bring it out at the top station, or it'll go around the red loop, which means it does a couple of circuits of the track and then ends up at the station.
Your back scene, what's that?
It's one of our members. Liam came along and he basically painted it. He's quite an artist, as you can see.
Your buildings, are they kit or scratch?
The buildings are kits, Keebury's and similar side kits. Scratch buildings, the station itself, which is placed on the one at Blowsy Mitholtz, that is a scratch built one, and there's a house next to that that's scratch built. All the others are Keebury kits. All the viaducts and bridges are all bespoke for the layout, so they're all scratch built.
Tracking points, what are they?
Tracking points, Pico, standard Pico Code 100. The catenary is all hand built.
Is it double O or is it HO?
It's HO. It's HO scale. The catenary is all hand built.
Control system, what's the control system?
Old H&M duets. Bizarrely, the modern gauge masters things don't have the current to take the motors up. All the stock's quite old. A mixture, just proprietary stuff, mostly Rocco, Lima. There's a couple of Fleischmann items and things like that there.
operation, what would you normally operate with?
Two people usually operate it. You can do it in one. The person at the top, he controls the red, and you mentioned the red and the green section. So he controls the red use. He does the two sections at the top, and he generally runs two trains. They're all protected. Have a system of protection. Simply the signal. You see the signals at the end of the platforms. The signal also controls power to the track for the last section. So if you set your signal to red, the train will not run through. It's that thing of things are still moving out front while you're attending to the problem at the back.
This G-scale layout is Ochitldhu, exhibited by Fraser Nielsen. The scale is 1 to 24th or half-inch scale, and the trains are 1 to 22.5, known as G-scale. This fictitious layout is based on a west of Scotland peninsula, where the roads are narrow and go no further than the shoreline all around. As a result, the world has almost passed it by, which is welcomed by the locals and tourists alike. But at the same time, the modern world still plays a part in communications, shopping and tourist attractions. But despite this, the buildings still retain a Victorian atmosphere about them. A community-based bus and a puffer boat still maintain a modicum of traffic to serve the area, as does the train. The town is currently famous for its cycling, fishing, hill walking, golf and many other active and leisurely land and sea pursuits for visitors to enjoy. The train service is an ex-quarry railway with links to Network Rail for onward travel, having passed through This'll-do and That'll-do en route. It runs a mainly passenger service throughout the summer, freight on an as-required basis and a mixture of both during the winter months. This 00 gauge layout is Dalziel North, exhibited by Roddy Newbegin and the 57 Study Group. The layout represents a non-electrified secondary route somewhere in central Lanarkshire. Historically, this part of Lanarkshire was famed for its steel and heavy engineering factories, which led to it having a network of busy railway lines serving these industries. Although the rail network in central Lanarkshire may not be as widespread as it once was, the remaining lines have found a new life as part of the SPT passenger network and for block freight trains which use the West Coast Main Line. Dalziel North is a fictitious location set somewhere between Motherwell and Coat Bridge, with a hint of reality as the buildings are based on structures still extant or recently demolished, which were formerly related to central Lanarkshire's once thriving steel industry. The layout represents rail traffic typical of central Lanarkshire during 2002 into 2003. The line is a busy through route which links the west to the east and subsequently carries a wide selection of passenger and freight traffic travelling to and from other parts of the Scottish rail network. Regeneration has seen the former steel industry sidings redeveloped as dedicated terminals for EWS container traffic. Track work is hand-built using Pico components and Code 83 rail. The buildings are all scratch-built and based on industrial structures on our chosen location. All rolling stock is detailed and weathered and representative of the period. This 00 gauge layout is Passage Lane TMD, exhibited by Robert Potter and Charlotte Saunderson. Passage Lane TMD is a fictitious layout based on modern-day diesel depots in eastern England. There is ample space for many locomotives and a mixture of operators can be seen visiting the maintenance shed, fueling bays or visitors' sidings. I spoke with Charlotte at the show and got some more information.
We didn't really like diesels. We were very much steam and especially A4s. And this is a diesel layout, so I don't really know what happened. Something happened and we found diesels, and yeah, it just came from that. Robert told the little layout company who built this for us what ideas he had.
How big is it?
It's 16 foot by 6.5.
And how many boards is that?
6. So we've just extended the fiddle yard, so I'm having to learn exactly where everything is now.
Your vaccine, where's that come from?
That's an ID vaccine.
Are your buildings, are they scratch or kit made?
Some of them are just just out the box, straight backman ones. The one right down the end is a kit build that I finished on Tuesday, and it is railway laser lines, new, like based on Gresty Bridge.
The control system, what's that?
We use GaugeMaster, and we've also got a Raspberry Pi so that we can run on our phones as well.
Oh, very, very smooth.
Yes.
So is that with some sort of Wi-Fi connection? Is it, or?
Yeah, we've just got a modem under here. It's not putting any wireless out, but it just enables us to connect the phones to the Raspberry Pi, and then you could be across the room and you could be running trains. And then we've got the webcam as well, so that we can have the screen down one end, the webcam at the other end, and you can just see what's going on at the other end. You can sit here and actually run the trains and not have to go up there. It's a lot of different stock actually. It's all modern. It's all what you'd see today. There's a lot of Bachmann. There's some Dapol. There's a bit of Hornby. We've got quite a few resprays on here. A lot of Rainbow Railways resprays. We like to go for things that are a bit different and that are new. We just run whatever we fancy. We just tell each other, oh, I'm going to move this and put this here, and we just do it.
How many operators? Just normally 2, is it?
Generally 3, so that we can all have a bit of time off and have a go at running.
So I'm here with Dave Coddington, and we're looking at at his Triang layout. Dave, what's the inspiration behind doing all this?
Hornby at the moment is celebrating 100 years, so I thought I'd come in and celebrate 50 years. So everything you see here is from the 1970 catalogue, the 16th edition. I've got the copies of the actual catalogue itself along the front, and inside running and static are items from the catalogue.
The last time we spoke, we were at Irvine, and your layout seems to have grown a little bit. So what's happened there?
That's correct. Because Irvine's a smaller show, I take a smaller layout. Irvine is only 12 by 6, whereas here I can take 18 by 6. I've got 8 trains running at the moment. One of my objectives is one day I'll have 10 trains. That's what I'm hoping to do one day.
And where do you source all your things from? Have you been collecting them over the years, or?
Yes, I started collecting back in 1968. In fact, it was the hobby itself that got me interested into railways, and eventually a year later I joined the railway, and spent the next 50 years with ScotRail.
So I take it it's just standard controllers. It's nothing fancy. It's just
nothing's fancy. Everything here is as it came out of the box. I have not altered anything. It's the same motor, same brushes, same wiring. Everything is exactly as you got it.
I noticed that you keep the whole operation fairly simple, with just simple loops and things. Is there any reason for that?
Yes, years ago when I had a proper layout as it was, I had points, sidings, and I did a lot of shunting, but there was a lot of derailments, and people aren't really interested, I noticed, in watching some of these. It's the general public, the kids, they want to see trains running, things going round, something happening. In fact, I've had a lot of comments today. This is one of the few layouts that's running.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. This 2mm fine scale layout is Sauchenford, exhibited by the 2mm Fine Scale Association. I spoke with Alistair at the exhibition, who gave me some information about the layout.
The layout is based on an imaginary collier exchange siding on the Scottish Central line between Stirling and Larbert. Sauchenford is a real place, but we don't represent reality in that sense. It's got a double main line, and then the collier exchange siding's gone off to the washery and the collier. It's 2mm fine scale, which is 2mm to the foot, which is slightly smaller than end gauge. It preceded end gauge, and it's got a different gauge as well. It's got an exact scale gauge of 9.42mm.
Your back scene, what's that from?
That's painted by one of our members, and it's based on a view from the real Sauchenford. You can look and you will see Stirling in the background with the Wallace Monument and so on.
Okay. Buildings, well, they scratch or?
Yeah, they're all scratch. There's not much in the way of buildings. There's a signal box, which is scratch. There's 2 bridges, one which is scratch and the other one which is etched by one of the members from his own drawings and then built by him.
control, what's that?
It's DCC at the moment, but we're wired for DC as well, so we've got section switches.
So you can get DCC in that scale, can you?
Oh, yeah. It can be a struggle getting the chips into small locos, but you can do it. But it makes quite a difference because the small motors and the lack of mass, DCC helps a lot with good running because you're getting the full voltage through the wheels all the time. Stock is we're running it generally in BR days, and the passenger stock you'll find is N-gauge re-wheeled with fine scale wheels.
So I take it an N-gauge loco won't fit. It's just
No,
too wide.
you
have to re-wheel it.
You have to re-wheel it at least. The diesels are N-gauge locos, they've been re-wheeled. The steam locos are scratch and kit built.
How do you normally operate? With one or two people? Or?
Three. If it's going to be, it's easiest operated by one person or three people.
This P4 gauge layout is Garrigill, exhibited by East of Scotland 4mm group. Garrigill is a P4 model of the Stockton and Darlington Railway, set in the late 1860s, after the S&DR had been taken over by the North Eastern Railway, but while it was operating as a separate entity run by a committee. The setting is the site of an imaginary junction station, Garrigill, of two railways proposed but never built, the Wear Valley Extension Railway and the Cumberland and Cleveland Junction Railway, which would then continue on to join the Alston branch of the North Eastern Railway. Garrigill is a small moorland village, and the station would have been well away from it, as often happened on such lines at the time. The area in which it is set is mainly involved in hill farming, and in the 19th century, lead mining, and so there would have been a requirement for the supply of coal, lime, pit props and general goods. It features a single platform station, goods shed, coal drops and a locomotive depot with engine shed and turntable. All locomotives are scratch built, mostly from the original drawings, with the exception of a high-level black Hawthorn. Carriages are from etched kits produced from the works drawings from the National Railway Museum and etched by Bill Bedford. The P5 mineral wagons are built from kits from Chiltern Ironworks, unfortunately no longer available. Other goods stock is mainly scratch built. The layout has been constructed over the last 16 years, although the construction of locomotives commenced in 1971. This 4mm 00 gauge layout is Whithorn, exhibited by Alistair MacDonald. I was able to speak to Alistair at the show, who gave me a little bit more information.
I was inspired by reading a book by Ian Rice where he was suggested that by modelling Whithorn you're modelling something that would be rather interesting but certainly wouldn't be a typical Great Western branch line. And having been to Whithorn back in 1961 when I was 16 on a steam rail tour, probably one of the last people to travel to Whithorn under steam, it seemed like the ideal opportunity to model the branch. From then I always like to model a real location rather than a fictional location because I enjoy research, and from that I was able to put together through research details about the station building, the signal box and the creamery, with a great deal of help from the Glasgow and South Western Railway Association from information from their archives.
How big is it?
It's about 18 feet long with a 5-foot fiddle yard, 13-foot layout, and in my view it's big enough for one man to put together, a woman to put together and put in a garage. You know, while people like to have big layouts, I think this is big enough for one person to construct, and it shows maybe 2 or 3 people to operate.
How many boards is it?
It's there's a total of 4 boards. One is the fiddle yard and 3 scenic boards with a separate lighting rig. The back scene is in plywood, which I have painted and hand painted myself to represent the scenery of this part of Galloway and the very south end of Scotland in the southwest. All the buildings have been scratch built. The signal box was the easiest, so I was able to use Glasgow and South Western Railway drawings of the signal box. However, the station building and the creamery were a bit more difficult because no plans were available when I built the model. I scratch built the station building. There was no drawings available at that time, but what I did was I produced a 3D model in Google SketchUp of the station building, and from that I was able to match and replicate the photographs I had to get the proportions of the building right. I then constructed it in a 2D drawing and then built it out of plasticard. The creamery was built the same way.
Is it running as fine scale, is it?
It's, well, in life, it began its life as an EM layout. And when I joined the present model railway club based in North East Wales, just outside Chester where we are, they were all 00 modelers. And we took the decision to change from EM to 4mm 00.
Your track, what is it?
The track, we relayed the track in Pico, the new Pico Bullhead track.
And points, are they similar?
Yeah, they are proprietary points from Pico.
Okay. Your control system, was that DCC?
Control system, DCC, using NCE sound equipment, NCE computer equipment, and all locomotives have got sound chips as well.
Okay. Your stock, what's your stock?
Stock is a mixture of Bachmann, Hornby, some Daypol, and, well, from all the usual suspects really.
Okay. And operation, what's the, how would you normally operate it? 2 man?
Normally it's operated with 2 men, 1 man controlling the stock coming out of the fiddle yard and the second operator working the scenics.
To watch more videos like this, click on the playlist and I'll see you there.